what's up, Alice? It's Shampoo from Shibooyah, and back here, and I figured I had a couple of requests, so I figured I'd do a spoiler-free Shin Godzilla review. And I should really call it a Shin Godzilla discussion, because I figure if people want a spoiler-free review, they kind of wanted to see the movie fresh, right? They don't want any kind of thoughts that would influence them one way or the other. So for me to even try to review the movie and say that, like, you know, the music is good and, you know, acting is okay and blah, 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 you know, whatever, just, I feel that would already influence you one way or the other, and I'd just rather have a discussion about the movie, because a spoiler-free review isn't really going to do nothing for you. You should just see the movie fresh if that's what you want to do. So, but I will have a discussion about the movie spoiler-free. So let's just get into it. What I want to talk today about is the Godzilla character versus the Godzilla concept. Because I see a lot of people discussing out there, a lot of people saying that, you know, some people are like, wow, I just love everything I'm seeing about Shin Godzilla so far, I can't wait to see it. And then you see people that are like, you know, the Shin Godzilla film just doesn't do justice to the Godzilla character. I can't really be down with it. I think the American remake's better. You know, there's people saying that as well too. And I just want to talk a little bit about that, to kind of open people's perspective a little bit. A lot of people are comparing Shin Godzilla to the American remake in 2014. Some people might say it's comparing apples and oranges, but I think it's a fair comparison, because they're both reboots of the Godzilla series, right? They're both the first new Godzilla film in over 10 years from now, right? The Godzilla character versus the Godzilla concept. And what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people look at Shin Godzilla and they might be saying that, you know, it's not really a Godzilla film. It's too different. You know, that it should have another monster in the movie instead. And I look at that and I'm like, okay, well, let's say instead of Godzilla in the film, you have a completely different monster, okay? And it doesn't have to be Godzilla, it's just an example for us today. But let's say it's the best Godzilla film ever made, right? Best story, best budget, right? Best everything, best acting, everything like that. The only thing is, in the film, it's not Godzilla, it's Godzilla, or whichever monster you want to think of. But in the film, they refer to the monster as Godzilla. You know, how would you think of a film like that? If a film came out, and it was everything Godzilla should be, except the character of Godzilla was not in the movie. Instead, it was a completely different monster, and they just so happened to call that monster Godzilla. Is that a good Godzilla movie? Is it a bad Godzilla movie? Because, you know, it's one thing to think about. I'm not saying one way is right or the other, but is the Godzilla character that important? Or is the concept of Godzilla? And when I say the concept, I mean the story of a monster that's been transformed by nuclear weapons and that is coming to Japan, and it has other political issues revolved around it. Is the character of Godzilla really that important? Does he need to be a dinosaur, you know? That's just food for thought, you know, just to put perspective out there. Because if you look at the Godzilla, you know, in my opinion, Shin Godzilla is probably the most faithful to the Godzilla concept since the original 54 Godzilla, which is the Blu-ray here. If you look at the American Godzilla remake in 2014, I think that's a great remake of the Godzilla character. I feel they do the Godzilla character more justice than the Japanese Shin Godzilla film. And what I mean by character is, you look at Godzilla in the film and, you know, I'm still not a fan of his elephant looking like legs, but overall, I think it's a cool design. I found an interesting Twitter post by one of the Japanese fans, because the movie actually played on Japanese TV recently. And, you know, take a look at the tweet here, but basically he's saying that, you know, no matter how many times I watch this film, I just can't get over how awesomely handsome Godzilla is. Because if you just look at this is funny, because it just looks like a handsome fellow. Handsome Godzilla is what the American remake made. But yeah, the Godzilla American remake, it looks like Godzilla, right? He breathes atomic fire, he's got dorsal fins and everything. There's even, you know, he's fighting monsters, right? And towards the end of the movie, when, you know, the American soldier, I forget his name, but he's floating off in the boat, and the American soldier's on the boat, and he's like, he falls over, and he's like, we did it, Godzilla. Me and you he's just looking at Godzilla off on New York or whatever, and Godzilla kind of falls over exact same time, and Godzilla's breathing, and he's like, "We did it, buddy. Me and you. We got the Mutos. G-Unit, you know?" And, you know, you can see that expression in Godzilla's face, and I think that's just, I love that character that they put into Godzilla. That's some of the character that you see in, like, the Showa and Heisei series, you know? It's great. It's an excellent Godzilla character. But I feel the Godzilla concept is kind of lost. And what I mean by that is the story doesn't really revolve around Japan issues or current events or like nuclear stuff as much as other films have, I should say at least. They touch on a little bit of all those areas. Like for the nuclear issue, you know, they have Ken Watanabe talking with whatever American soldier that they have in the movie. They have that one scene. I remember they have that one scene where they have that little exchange back and forth. And I'm glad to have that in there, but I feel like besides that, they just kind of push it aside and focus more on the Godzilla character and building him up and getting back to the science, you know, Mutos coming out. And they focus more on the Godzilla character. They want everyone to know that, hey, this is an American film, but check it out. We have Godzilla, okay? And going to the Japanese film, again, I don't want to spoil it, but according to a lot of people, they don't feel that Godzilla, the character, is done justice at all. And they feel that the American film is a better film as far as doing justice to the character. And I can't disagree with them. I think they're right for the Godzilla character. For the Godzilla concept, like I said, I feel the Shin Godzilla film gets the Godzilla concept the best since 1954. There's so many issues that they go over in Shin Godzilla, and they give such importance to the monster coming to Japan and everything surrounding it. Of course the monster is Godzilla, right? But the point of the film, I feel like it's not the character so much. The Godzilla in Shin Godzilla doesn't have character. He's not, you know, smiling, he's not gasping for breath, falling over at the same time as, you know, some soldier and like looking out to him, giving him a wink or whatever he does. He's just expressionless. He hardly even moves. And there's just not really any kind of character build-up. But everything around him, man, there is so much there in Shin Godzilla. And I feel like they get the Godzilla concept so right. So at the end of the day, does it matter if Godzilla is Godzilla or not? You know, like, I guess it depends on what people are looking for, right? If they're looking for the Godzilla character, you know, the guy that's in, you know, Godzilla vs. Megalon, you know, boxing, putting up his ones and twos, you know, obviously you're going to like the American remake better. It's going to appeal more to you. If you're really into the original Godzilla 54 movie, if you can handle Godzilla and some differences to Godzilla, right? And if at the end of the day you're more interested in the concept of Godzilla and what Godzilla represents, I think you're gonna love the Shin Godzilla film. It does so much stuff right. So I just wanted to put that out there, this kind of debate for a Godzilla character versus Godzilla concept. I think it's kind of something interesting to think about. And I think it's a lot of things that people kind of overlook, because a lot of people looking at Shin Godzilla and they just kind of dismiss it right away. And they say, that's not my Godzilla. And they're perfectly right, it's not their Godzilla. But in another way, it's kind of exactly everything that Godzilla is and represents. And, you know, you can't be disappointed in that either. And me personally, I'm a Godzilla fan. You know, they could make a new Godzilla film where he's out and he's doing, you know, kung fu, or he's doing, you know, going on some kind of safari adventure. I don't really care. I'm a Godzilla fan. I'm gonna see every new movie regardless. I don't care if it's good, bad. I just want to see it, you know. I just want to see where it goes and what they do with them, you know. So I just want people to see Shin Godzilla when it comes out and support it. And, you know, if you don't like it, that's totally cool. But I just want you to have an open mind going into it. And I just want y'all in the comments to see, you know, what you guys think in terms of Godzilla character versus Godzilla concept. If they had a movie that was the best Godzilla movie of all time, but it didn't have Godzilla in it, but the monster just so happened to be called Godzilla in the film, how would you react to that, you know? That's something to think about, you know? So anyways, I think that's going to about do it. I think I covered all my points here. So thanks for watching. Sorry if it was a little bit long. Like I said, check us out, subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up. We're on Twitter, all that, and we'll see you next time. Peace.